we'll call this meeting to order of the House Finance and Policy Committee. And note we have a quorum present. First order of business would be approval of the minutes for March 3rd. I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Thank you, Vice Chair Kozlowski. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. The motion is approved. With that, I'm going to hand the gavel over to Representative Kozlowski as I've got the first bill up today.
All right, welcome Chair Howard to the Housing Committee. The bill before us is House File 3806. Chair Howard, would you like to move your bill in front of the committee?
I would. I'd move House File 3806 before the committee.
All right, and then members, the plan is to lay this bill over for possible inclusion. All right, Chair Howard, it's your bill.
Members, this is a bill that we've heard in years past. It is a bill to provide housing infrastructure bonds. In particular, this bill calls for $200 million in housing infrastructure bonds to build homes all across the state, especially the homes that Minnesotans are so desperately in need of. We had a great conversation about housing supply and the need for more homes yesterday, especially in sort of the policy realm. And this is really, in the funding realm, our state's bread and butter way to do and meet the goal we all discussed yesterday, which is the need to build more homes, and especially homes that are affordable, both to rent and to own. Since 2012, Minnesota has been a leader across the nation in making investments through the tool of housing infrastructure bonds. And since 2012, we've built 10,000 homes all across the state utilizing this tool. But what we know is that the program is still overprescribed. Commissioner Ho presented a few weeks ago and mentioned this, that for every one proposal that MHFA is able to greenlight and fund, 2 are denied. And these are all proposals usually before that are ready to go. They need this housing infrastructure bond funding to be that last push to get shovels in the ground and to build more homes. So when you look at our state's massive housing shortage and the fact that you can leverage such significant investment with housing infrastructure bonds, it is the right move to make an investment that's commensurate with the need. And at $200 million, we can make a considerable investment to build thousands of homes all across the state. And with that, I would turn it over to my testifiers.
Great. It looks like we have 3 testifiers. First up is Jesse Hendel with Alliance Housing, and then on deck is John Thorson with LiUNA. All right. Welcome to the committee. Thank you for being here, and you can proceed whenever you're ready.
Okay, thank you. Chair Kozlowski, members of the committee, my name is Jesse Hendel. I'm the Executive Director of Alliance Housing. I'm here today to ask you to support House File 3806 to increase the state's investment in housing infrastructure bonds. Alliance Housing was started in 1991 to make it possible for individuals and families to make home for themselves regardless of their income or background. We believe in creating homes that are affordable, relational, and flexible. Alliance owns and operates 374 homes of deeply affordable housing in Minneapolis. In late 2025, in partnership with Touchstone Mental Health, Alliance opened a supportive housing community called Kyle Garden Square. Kyle Garden Square has 59 homes for chronically homeless adults. Housing infrastructure bonds were a critical source to making the construction of these homes happen in a reality for those 59 Minnesotans. Last week, one of my colleagues had the opportunity to chat with one of our new residents, Pat. Pat will speak at our upcoming grand opening. She is Lakota Sioux, a great-grandmother and a disabled Air Force veteran. Following the death of her husband in 2022, Pat fell down a hole of addiction. She began experiencing housing instability, and in 2025, Pat entered drug treatment. But after finishing, she returned to homelessness. This is all too common. Being homeless and in recovery is a recipe for relapse. Luckily, Pat met our service partner, Touchstone Mental Health, and with their support, they worked together to get Pat into Kyle Garden Square. Pat is now stably housed and a strong member of the housing community. She looks forward to helping other members of the community access affordable housing in the future. With an investment like $200 million in housing infrastructure bonds, we can build 1,900 more units like Kyle Garden Square to help Minnesotans across the state. Each will be a critical resource, just as those were that Kyle Garden received. I'd be glad to give any members of the committee a tour of Kyle Garden Square. Please feel free to let the staff at MCCD know you'd like a tour. Thank you for the opportunity to testify today, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much for being here. All right, and next up we have John Thorson with LiUNA, Minnesota and North Dakota, and next up will be Chad Adams with Southwest Minnesota Housing Partnership on deck. So whenever you're ready for your 2 minutes to begin, you can proceed.
Thank you, Chair Kozlowski, Chair Howard, members of the committee. For the record, my name is John Thorson. I'm here on behalf of LiUNA, Minnesota, North Dakota. We're a union of more than 14,000 proud men and women who build and maintain our state's critical infrastructure. I'm here today to share our support for House File 3806. Minnesota faces a substantial shortage of affordable housing, and like other Minnesotans, the members we represent are finding it increasingly difficult to afford or rent to buy a home in communities they grew up in or choose to live in. The housing crisis in our community is at an all-time high, making it impossible for many people to afford their home or their rent. The shortage of homes for families across income levels increases the pressure on the most vulnerable people in our communities. Too many middle and low-income Minnesotans are finding it hard to and difficult to rent or buy a home, in part because the share of low-cost rental housing in Minnesota has fallen by over a quarter in the last decade, while the cost of buying a home has more than doubled between 2012 and 2022. Minnesota families have been forced to devote a growing share of their household budget to housing. More than 10% of Minnesotans, or over 640,000, are deemed cost-burdened, which is defined as housing costs that exceed 30% of a household income. Now, thankfully, state, county, and local governments are stepping up to finance new affordable housing projects through direct grants and tax incentive programs. Yet there's so much more to be done to meet our housing needs. Housing infrastructure bonds are an effective way to leverage federal, local, and private investment to both preserve existing housing and build new affordable housing. We support House File 3806 and the allocation of $200 million for housing infrastructure bonds to move projects forward across the housing continuum in every community, every corner throughout the state. These investments not only help build the housing we need, but they also generate good family-sustaining jobs for our members and many others in the industry. Thank you for your time and consideration of this bill.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you being here. And we'll turn to our last testifier on deck, Chad Adams, who's joining us virtually.
Thank you, Chair Kozlowski and members of the committee for the opportunity to testify today. My name is Chad Adams, and I am the CEO of the Southwest Minnesota Housing Partnership, a nonprofit community development corporation serving 30 counties, which includes over 200 communities across southwest and south central Minnesota. Our organization produces single-family and multifamily homes and provides housing services with a mission to partner with communities to develop places for people to call home. Our partnership is a strong supporter of HIBs as we use the funding to leverage several other sources of dollars, such as private bank financing, city, county, or other federal grants and loans. In our projects, the bonds are never the sole source of funds, but frequently serve as a primary or complementary source to close deals in greater Minnesota. We appreciate the high degree of flexibility that HIBs can be used for, considering the often very complex deals and other funding requirements that need to be met on projects. One example of our use of housing infrastructure bonds is the preservation and rehabilitation of 3 apartment buildings in the past 7 years in Wilmer, Alexandria, and one that will be closing this spring in Hutchinson, Minnesota, which represents a total of 104 homes in those communities. Our organization has also used HIBs on the new construction of single-family homes to families below 60% of the area median income. And those homes have recently been placed into our partnership community land trust in Mankato and will require the homes to be protected and sold to any future affordable homebuyer and family for the next 99 years. We again use the housing infrastructure bonds to leverage funding from the city, federal government, and private sector contributions in that situation. Without housing infrastructure bonds, these homes would not have been preserved or built, and we would not have leveraged or received the investment of other funding sources from the private and public sector that help support and grow our local economies in greater Minnesota. The present investment, however, has not kept up with demand, and Minnesota has experienced an extraordinary housing shortage, especially affordable housing available to households making 50% of area median income or less. In greater Minnesota, housing is commonly the top priority in every community we serve across our 30-county region. There are dozens of current multifamily properties in our region that need immediate attention to be preserved, and HIBs will help us meet some of those critical needs. I ask that you continue to invest in homes and leveraging other partner funds by passing House File 3806. And I'd like to thank Representative Howard for carrying this bill and for the opportunity to testify today.
Thank you so much for your testimony. Next, we'll move to open to any members of the public who are wishing to testify on this bill. All right, seeing none, we will move to member discussion of the bill. All right, Representative Scraba.
Sorry, I didn't hear my name. I apologize. No, the intent, the $200 million. As you know, I sit on capital investments, and I'm absolutely hell bent on getting $300 million a year for PFA, Public Finance Authority, so that we can have the infrastructure to support something like this. And I'm kind of in that thought right now where that if it were to happen, it would be half of what this year's is proposed, 300 for PFA, 200 for housing, and then that leaves 500 to 700 million for HEAPR, other state agency stuff. And it just doesn't seem like there's enough to go around right now for me. Perhaps if it was smaller, I'd be looking at it, but right now 200 just from my standpoint where I am. Obviously, I support something like this because this is where it starts. But I want to get everything up to speed for me before I start jumping at it. But thank you.
Thank you, Chair Howard.
Chair Kozlowski, Representative Scraba, I appreciate the word of support for the tool here and its value and the interaction, for this to really go and help communities. The intersection with public infrastructure is key as well. This is housing infrastructure bonds is a different tool per se than general obligation bonding. I get it is all borrowing, but for a fairly modest sort of debt service, in fiscal year 28-29, additional about 11 million in debt service would be able to leverage this 200 million investment. But again, I appreciate the support for the concept. And recognize that we're going to balance a lot of priorities, but I think this is a pretty important one. And in a perfect world where we're doing general obligation bonding on some of those things and investing in HIBs as well.
Representative Scraba, any follow-up?
Oh, no, I'm good.
Okay, we'll move to Representative Meckland.
Thank you, Chair. And Chair Howard, do you know we did these last year, didn't we, as well? But what percentage of these are going to like the metro versus the suburbs versus the outstate?
Chair Howard.
Chair Kozlowski, Representative Meckland, I don't have the exact breakdown in front of me, but in totality, I mentioned the 10,000 number since 2012, and I believe the breakdown is something approaching like 55-45, with 55% or so in the metro area and 45% outside the 7-county metro area. So they have a track record of quite a bit of regional balance. And, you know, a lot of MHFA programs, when they present, they kind of talk about that regional balance. And so housing infrastructure bonds is one where they've weighed that quite a bit, and it usually is commensurate need or an even split, because of course there's needs, all across the state. But I could get the exact numbers for you.
Representative Mecklen.
Well, thank you, Chair. Do you know how much we currently have in like an outstanding balance on HIBs?
Chair Howard.
Chair Kozlowski, in terms of existing funds that haven't been allocated through like their RFP process, is that your question?
Representative
Thank you,
Mecklen.
Chair. What is our balance that hasn't been repaid back? What is our debt service right now on HIBs?
Back to you, Chair Howard.
I might go to our fiscal staff to if Ms. Heimer could help us with the exact amount.
Thank you for tapping in. Go ahead.
Chair and members, the current outstanding principal for the housing infrastructure bonds that have been issued is $474.465 million. That is different, of course, than the debt service appropriation that is paid to the agency. So I'm happy to also give that number if that's the number you're looking for.
Representative Mecklen.
Thank you, Chair Kozlowski. So at what point, and maybe you should stay for this, I believe we still have a AAA credit rating. What point, if we borrow too much, are we putting that in jeopardy, especially if we end up in a deficit in the future biennium and not able to make these payments?
Chair Howard.
Chair Kozlowski, Representative Mecklen. I mean, I'll take a crack at that. I mean, this has been a really smart tool that I think our credit folks recognize Minnesota's use of with housing infrastructure bonds that pay kind of dividends in the long run as well. I have not heard of any from our agencies or bond agencies or anything that would sort of say that we're in some sort of risk, a financial position related to kind of the investments we're considering.
Let me follow up. Representative Mecklen.
Thank you. Yes, Chair Kozlowski. So one other part to this, and I appreciate that, and maybe you could, if you can find like what's the historic high we've ever had of debt service at any one time, maybe you can follow up with that later. But another question, we've seen in the past that some of these dollars are going to things that aren't actually housing, like hockey rinks and tennis courts and things like that. Would you be interested in establishing some type of guardrail that this should be used for like critical projects? And like right now, I'd say housing is probably one of our most critical things. And maybe that's more of a comment than a question, but it does seem kind of absurd that some of these dollars are being shifted into other areas. Thank you.
Chair Howard, did you have any response?
I would just say, Chair Kozlowski, if you have examples of that, I'd love to hear them. But these are housing infrastructure bonds. They have to be used for housing, and they have been used for housing. I mean, there's other forms of bonding through general obligation bonding, et cetera, that have different and more expanded uses. These housing infrastructure bonds go into a process through MHFA to fund housing projects, and as they should.
Thank you, Chair Howard. All right, next we're going to move over to Representative Johnson.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you. Sorry, I was here a little bit late, but question I have is regarding those. How much of this could be used towards manufactured homes? They are, having different challenges themselves, but it's also a very efficient way of becoming a homeowner too. So, thank you.
Chair Howard.
Thank you. Good question, Representative Johnson. Manufactured housing is an eligible use of housing infrastructure bonds, and we have used housing infrastructure bonds for manufactured housing in the past. We don't have a track record of very often earmarking for particular types of housing within the housing infrastructure bonds. But the more investment we put into it, the easier it is for the agency to kind of meet a diversity of needs. I would agree that manufactured housing is and should be a priority with our housing infrastructure bonds dollars. And so, being able to, but, passing a $200 million bill makes it easier to do that than a $20 million bill, as an example.
Back to you, Representative Johnson.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you. It's encouraging that you believe that they should. I know I've just heard some challenges. It could get tough to get Minnesota Housing to offer that, or it's tough to get the money out of there. So I think if we started dedicating something towards it, it's more likely that it could go that direction instead of saying, no, we got something else, maybe we understand better or whatever. But I would just encourage, as we move forward with any bill, or we should start looking at giving some dedicated funds to them. So if inside this, so thank you.
We'll keep it moving to Representative Hussein.
Thank you, Chair Howard, for bringing this bill forward. It's an important step forward to address Minnesota housing shortage and to strengthen our community across our state. When it comes to housing, the state of Minnesota, the reason I'm sitting in this committee is to address the concern that we heard from our community throughout the state. It doesn't matter whether you are in the greater Minnesota or whether you're in the metro area, housing shortage is affecting everybody's life. If we want a healthy community, we need to address the concern that we have more. I am in good support in this bill. Thanks for bringing it forward. And we need to just continue working on housings to address the concern that we heard from our community throughout the state to address, because the more we build, the more we have people for the place to stay and have a healthy community in the state of Minnesota. Thank you for bringing forward.
Great. And next up, we have Representative, Vice Chair Dotseth.
Thank you, Chair Kozlowski, Chair Howard. I like your approach that you actually do whatever it takes, looking at other options that are on the table, throwing all the options out there. I do believe that this approach would open up additional housing infrastructure projects. However, I have some concerns that we look at the long-term debt that it's going to place on the state of Minnesota. Number two is typically housing infrastructure bonds take a longer time to sell. Do you have any feedback on that or response?
Chair Howard.
Vice Chair Dotson, take a longer time to sell, in the bond market or just
In the bond market.
I'd be happy to gather more information. I haven't heard that concern. In general, housing infrastructure bonds, as compared to other investments we've made in the Housing Committee, for example, in the 2023 budget, have actually come to fruition quicker than some of the programs that we funded. So the agency has had a pretty strong track record of getting the housing infrastructure bonds, once the legislature passes them, into their RFP and funded. Insofar as our agency is getting the dollars we approve out the door, I think housing infrastructure bonds is a program that's worked well, but I could try to follow up offline specific to your bond market question. I don't have information on that.
Vice Chair Dotseth.
Just a final comment. I just look forward to moving forward with this and having further dialogue as we move forward. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. With no further member dialogue, I'll turn it back to Chair Howard for any closing comments.
Thank you, members. I appreciate the discussion. I appreciate hearing bipartisan support for this tool and its ability to invest in homes and meet what we all say is our number one challenge. It's we got to address our housing supply. We got to do it through policy. We got to do it through investment, and we got to stay persistent. And so, thanks for the time. Look forward to having housing infrastructure bonds move forward this year.
Great. And with that, I lay the bill over for possible inclusion.
All right, the second bill on the agenda is House File 2687, Representative Bagé's bill related to homeownership restrictions for corporate entities. Members, just a little table setting. We had planned to take action on this bill and vote this out Your Co-Chair Igo, I think, is under the weather, unable to be here today. So we're going to hold the hearing on the bill, lay it over. We will take official action and take a vote on this bill next committee hearing. And so I will move that Representative Vaje's bill, House File 2687, be brought in front of the committee. And I understand that you have a DE1 amendment, Representative.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Could you briefly describe it?
Yeah, actually, I can describe it. Otherwise, I mean, it is essentially the new bill, so I don't know if you want to adopt it and then I describe it, or describe it and then adopt.
If you could briefly describe it first.
Okay, sure. So the bill as amended now does two things. It limits private equity companies from buying single-family homes completely. And the second part is that it also limits corporations and partnerships from owning more than 50 single-family homes. And the enforcement would happen through the Attorney General's office, and that is what the DE does.
Any questions to the DE? If not, we'll adopt it and then proceed. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The DE is adopted and the bill is in the shape the author prefers. Representative Agbaje, to your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Since that was the bulk of it, I'll kind of be brief, but I'll touch on some of the highlights from the conversations we've been having around this bill. So House File 2687 is essentially now narrowed to a bill that would hopefully be a first step to returning the home ownership market back to the people. As I just briefly described, the bill now only limits private equity companies from buying single-family homes, and it also limits corporations and partnerships from owning more than 50 single-family homes, and enforcement would happen through the Attorney General's office. So this bill in this form is focused on the simplest part of this discussion to lay a foundation that we can build upon in the future. Home ownership in Minnesota is something that continues to be out of reach for Minnesotans of color and working Minnesotans. The reasons are varied, but corporate ownership of single-family homes is definitely a factor. According to reports from the Federal Reserve, Pew Charitable Trust, and reporting done by the Star Tribune, corporate entities are purchasing more homes in the marketplace to the detriment of many first-term home buyers. Corporate ownership doubled their share of the market beginning in 2026, and while some of the research that the Minneapolis Fed has done is beginning to show some stabilization in those purchases, when you dig deeper, you see that investor purchases are still concentrated in low-income neighborhoods. Communities like Northeast Minneapolis and the suburbs of Fridley and Hopkins, in those areas, corporate home ownership of single-family homes was as high as 30%, 24%, and 27%, respectively. In many of those areas, the share of large corporate owners is still growing. So this means that in those communities, families and working people are unable to compete with corporate owners who can offer cash and forego inspection fees or pay tens of thousands of dollars over the asking price. This leaves working Minnesotans the only option to rent from these corporate landlords if they want to stay in the neighborhood. And over time, that could lead to a concentration of poverty or a lack of amenities in that neighborhood. And part of the reason why a bill like this is necessary to begin to address the issue of corporate owners, who sometimes can be absentee landlords, those landlords then have limited property management oversight, and they don't address and respond to repairs in a timely fashion. So we also hear stories from people that say that sometimes the only time you hear from one of these corporate landlords is when the rent is due. And some of the most egregious issues we saw a couple of years ago with Havenbrook Homes out in Minneapolis. By limiting the amount of single-family homes that corporate entities can own, hopefully we can have more homeowners that are present in their communities and building their wealth. And with that, I'll turn to testifiers.
Thank you, Representative Agbaje. Thank you, Representative Agbaje. I'm looking for my first testifier who I don't see, so I'm going to go next to Ellen Solly. Welcome to the committee.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chair and members. My name is Ellen Solly. I'm president of the Family Housing Fund. The Family Housing Fund is a 46-year-old organization that helps communities address their housing challenges. And one of the areas of our work has been in the area of single-family rentals. We have done a few things in this area, and informing our work is the renter experience of living in single-family rental homes. We worked with the University of Minnesota Center for Urban and Regional Affairs on 2 research projects. And in 2024, we worked with a national organization called the Private Equity Stakeholders Project to understand the role of private equity in the Minnesota market. And through this research, we wanted to understand what works well and what the challenges are for renters, as well as understand who the players are in this asset class. First, we broke up the ownership into categories based on size of their portfolio. Micro owners own 1 unit, small owners own 2 to 5 units, medium owners own 6 to 20 units, and then large owners own more than 20 units in this single-family asset. And in our data set of 42,000 single-family rentals, 86% of the owners are micro or small owners, 5% are medium owners, and about 8.5% represent this large ownership of more than 20 units, and are more traditional owners or investors, as well as REITs and private equity. And we learned a couple of things that are really important as you consider this legislation. The first is there is a tipping point for effective single-family rental property management. And as the portfolio size increases beyond 14 units, the renter experience declines, deteriorates significantly. Rents rise consistently as the portfolio size increases, and specifically renters of large owners, large landlords in that 20 unit or more report rents of more than $200 per unit compared to the micro units. And almost 2/3 of the renters living in large landlord homes reportedly noticed the need for repairs immediately upon moving in, and further reported a reduced responsiveness on the part of their landlord when they've reported repairs. So from our experience and our research, the single-family data suggests large landlords of more than 20 units of single-family rental are the most disruptive and difficult in the rental market. The proposed legislation focuses on private equity and investor owners of more than 50 units of single-family rentals, and it's an important step of managing the most troublesome part of this asset class, while still allowing for renter choice in those that want to live in a single-family rental home. So we support this legislation and appreciate your leadership on it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Mark Bruner, Minnesota Manufactured Home Association. Welcome to the committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon. I'm Mark Bruner. I'm president of the Manufactured Modular Home Association of Minnesota. MMHA is celebrating its 75th anniversary as a trade association this year, so we've certainly seen a lot of changes over the years in terms of our homes and business model. There are approximately 900 manufactured home communities in the state of Minnesota that are licensed by the Department of Health. There are about 15 plants that build manufactured and modular homes in Minnesota. We're the largest source of non-subsidized attainable housing in the state. We have a couple concerns with the bill, and I have previously expressed those to the author, so it's not a surprise. And actually, to put our concerns in perspective, 80% of all manufactured homes sold in Minnesota go on private property or as real estate. The other 20% go in manufactured home communities or on leased land. So essentially, the scope of the bill, we're not here to argue against the manufactured homes that are on private property being included. However, we do believe that there needs to be a separation for manufactured home communities or manufactured home parks where the homes are considered single-family homes. They're taxed at a class rate of 1% as a site-built home is. However, they're on leased land. And so it's our belief that to alleviate any confusion that manufactured home park communities should fall under the exceptions as well as a couple of the others that are listed there. And we think the language right now is too broad, but that, we have manufactured home communities who do have rental homes. On occasion, there may be a vacancy, and for cash flow purposes, they need to, make sure that they have an income stream, so they may have a rental home, that kind of thing. So the bill doesn't, necessarily preclude, them from being brought in on that basis because they have a rental home that they've acquired versus single-family homes, which is really the intent of the bill. So what we're seeking is just that exception or carve-out for manufactured home communities, not homes themselves on private property. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Paul Egger, Senior Vice President of Government Affairs with the Minnesota Realtors.
Hey there. Good to see you.
Welcome back to the committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Again, my name is Paul Egger. I'm Senior Vice President of Governmental Affairs for the Minnesota Realtors Association. Thank you for the opportunity to testify here today. Just to share a few thoughts about the housing market that are relevant to the topic addressed in Representative Bage's bill today. Also, we want to share just a few concerns with the policy approach taken here with market prohibitions and restrictions. And then finally, I just want to leave you with a few thoughts on some alternative approaches that you may want to consider moving forward. I would also like to thank Representative Bage for her generosity and time. She has had an open door over the years as she's worked on this issue and other issues, and I really appreciate it, and look forward to continuing the dialogue as we move forward. Minnesota Realtors supports getting more Minnesotans into home ownership. It's a priority that I've testified about in front of this committee over the years. It's a priority that we've worked with Representative Bage specifically and members of this committee through the development of the first generation home buyers down payment assistance program. It's a priority that we want to continue to work with the legislature on moving forward. But just a few thoughts about the housing market that I think are relevant to the bill before you today. First, just history is a guide. We have a market right now that this committee is well aware after the discussions the past couple of weeks, especially yesterday.
Yes, this is Maddie. We make selling your home stress-free without the fees.
That sounds easy. James must be one cool guy.
Dad, is that you?
I'm undercover. I had to make sure our process really is that easy.
You're in costume, aren't you?
No.
Our process is simple. No costumes, no gimmicks, and no imposters. We'll buy your house in any condition in any price range with no repairs and no fees.
Minnesota Home Guys.
This is Equal Justice. Equal Justice is back with the case of Alexander Haddad, who brought Darren Erickson to court over a New Year's Eve party fail.
Was there any conversation, Mr. Erickson, about VIP or guest lists?
There was no such thing, Your Honor.
Okay, so this is just everybody's general admission, first come, first served.
Yes, I'm trying to be as democratic in this business as possible. I had a lot of friends, actually, that were attending the party. All of them also bought these standard issue tickets, none of whom, at least vocally to me, have expressed any sort of issue, especially to this level.
Okay, so he's standing outside in the cold with the young lady until you said 12:45.
Yeah, 12:40.
He's calling you 10 times. Did you see these calls?
I was getting calls all night. I was
From
running
all
this
kinds of
thing
people.
nearly single-handedly, yeah. And there were other issues that required me to deal with them that weren't him and a woman I'd never met.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so he finally gets to the front, I take it, sir?
Yes, and we get to the front. We had spent, midnight outside. My date was obviously...
How was she? Because I would have been annoyed.
She was definitely uneasy. She had my coat, so at this point I was miserable and I was freezing. The only thing I was kissing was the Chicago ice. There was nothing for me to kiss on when the clock strikes 12. Yeah.
Okay.
So finally get to the front. We finally get in near 1 a.m.
Yeah.
And, we get in there. There's barely any food left. There was still alcohol. Not the best kind, but there was, as promised, on open bar.
Okay, so not the best liquor, but there's some liquor, but no food.
No food, if any, crumbles. And, at this point, the vibe was already killed from being outside so long. It made me look bad, There's nothing worse than being outside during a party.
Why were you outside so long, sir?
Because apparently it was a capacity, but...
Well, that does happen, right, sir? There's a capacity from the fire marshal?
Yes, that is correct, and I certainly didn't want to be in violation of that. Additionally, Your Honor, I will say there was food. I was there until 3 4 in the morning.
So let's get to the capacity issue, sir. The venue that you threw this party at, how many people could it hold?
Could hold, I believe, 200 at a time.
Okay, so it's a 200-person capacity issue, and at some point you have to stop letting people through the door.
That's correct, at least until people leave.
Right, so now you got a flow issue.
Yes.
Okay, and so is that why this plaintiff, and his lady were held at the door because there was no capacity?
Yes, that would be correct. If they had showed up when the party began, there might have been capacity. There was certainly no one going around throwing people out. The assumption that was made was that, especially on New Year's Eve, people will tend to matriculate through a lot of different parties, a lot of different events, and
yeah, but at some point, because we've all been out on New Year's Eve, right? At some point, I would say around 10:30 or so, wherever you at, is where you better stay, because you want to have a New Year's Eve experience. You want to have a midnight experience. What time would you say that people kind of stopped leaving the party?
That they stopped leaving the party, I would say, as it drew closer to midnight, people tended to stay put. I think around 11:30 was where I noticed
11:30.
No one was going out. Yes.
Okay. And what time did you and your date arrive, sir?
Around 10, Your Honor.
Around 10 p.m.
In the initial text messages, he simply tells me, come, I got you, I'll get you in. There's no, if you don't get there...
But you did get in.
I did get in.
Right.
But when you get into a New Year's Eve party after New Year's Eve, after the clock hits 12, did you really get in? At that point,
Yes, you did. What are you talking about? You were inside. You were inside of a sheltered place. You said you had some not so desirable beverages that were still available to you. So you did get into the party. And that's what he said. Yes, I'm looking at this. It says, I promise I'll get you in. Now, if you had told me 12:45, you guys were turned away.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're at capacity. The event is closed. I think I would have a different opinion for you, sir. But you're saying that you did get in. And you're also asking him to pay for your transportation to and from the party. Why is that?
Because he was the one who convinced me to go to the party in the first place.
He convinced you, sir. Come on now. You said, I don't know, sounds like a lot. Is this the convincing you're talking about, this one little blue line right here? He says, I'll get you in. And you says, all right, man, I'm in. So this is the convincing you're talking about, this one paragraph? Come on, sir. Did you feel like you persuaded him under false pretenses?
Your Honor, he's an adult with free will, I believe. I didn't twist his arm. I merely offered him something that he could do on New Year's Eve. I never made him come. Additionally, I ride the train every day. It suits me just fine. And I don't know a single person who would be baffled to find that an Uber costs more money on New Year's Eve.
Yeah, I tend to agree with the defendant. I'm ready to rule here. Gentlemen, sounds like there was an effort here by both of you to spend some time together, have some fun. I think what you both probably know today, better than you knew before, y'all are not compatible as adult friends. Okay. Unfortunately for you, Mr. Haddad, that's going to be an expensive lesson. I believe that this man invited you just like he invited hundreds of other people. I think on New Year's Eve, we all know you probably need to be where you're going to be before 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock is going down. And 10 o'clock is when you showed up. So the fact that you got in at all, quite frankly, I'm surprised, and you should be happy about it. Your tickets were not wasted. You got in. You had to be outside because you showed up too late. You went to do a 4-course dinner and a party. To me, you're doing too much. Okay? So therefore, I'm ruling in favor of the defendant.
Thank you,
the plaintiff's case is dismissed.
All rise.
Judge Ebony has ruled in favor of the defendant. The plaintiff's case is dismissed.
Good riddance, man. That's all good.
Bad rubbish.
Judge has made a ruling. Please grab your belongings and follow me.
Coming up on Equal Justice.
Let me guess how long it took you from the moment he broke up with you for you to go cancel that cell phone plan.
It was about a few days. Yes. And quite frankly, I did it because why wouldn't I?
Closed captioning provided by...
Join AARP today. Get instant access to benefits, programs, and services. Just $11 per year with a 5-year term and get a second membership free.
This is Equal Justice with Judge Ebony.
Fox tonight. It's our best night. The mask goes metal. Then a double elimination. Will make someone snap.
I just wish I had more game players, not just people who want to make out with their girlfriend.
All new Fear Factor tonight after The Masked Singer on Fox. Watch and win Blank Street.
Main Street. Look at you, Bobby Moynihan.
Every weekday.
Today at 4 on Fox 9 Plus.
It still feels like he's going to walk right in and sit down for dinner.
I even made his favorite this week.
Are you okay, Mom? Are you sure you're ready to do this again so soon?
Honey, there's no place I'd rather be right now than here with family. I was just worried I wasn't going to be able to do this anymore with the cost of the funeral, and it was so unexpected. But your dad, he always had a plan.
What do you mean?
He had a guaranteed acceptance whole life insurance policy from United of Omaha Life Insurance Company. It really helped me with the expenses, and the payment came so fast.
But how was he able to qualify? With his health issues?
With United of Omaha, there were no health questions or medical exams. His acceptance was guaranteed.
If you are between 45 and 85, you automatically qualify for up to $25,000 in life insurance coverage, starting at just $6.38 a month with United of Omaha. Your acceptance is guaranteed. You cannot be turned down for any reason, and benefits may be paid within 24 hours. Unlike some policies, United of Omaha benefits are payable from day one. With one quick call, you can qualify for up to $25,000 in life insurance coverage.
But aren't those policies expensive?
They had options for as little as $6.38 a month. Plus, it was so easy. I even signed up for a policy of my own, so you won't have to worry either. And with their rate lock guarantee, my rate is locked in for life. My coverage will never go down, and my premiums will never increase.
Help take care of your loved ones after you're gone with a guaranteed acceptance life insurance policy from United of Omaha today.
Call 800-701-1907. That's 800-701-1907. 800-701-1907. Call today.
This is Equal Justice. Max Levy claims his ex cut off their shared cell phone plan after they broke up and says he lost work because of missed calls. Sarah Anderson says the plan was in her name and she had every right to cancel it.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've got Max Levy here as my plaintiff and Sarah Anderson as my defendant. Mr. Levy, you are suing the defendant for $4,000. Tell us why you're in court today.
That's correct, Your Honor. I'm in court today because the defendant, Sarah, is my ex-girlfriend. We used to be in a relationship together. We dated for a little over a year. During the course of that relationship, we decided to open a shared cell phone plan together. We decided to open it in her name, even though I agreed to always pay for my monthly share of the bill. About a year and a half into our relationship, we did break up. And shortly thereafter, she canceled the cell phone service without giving me any prior notice, which forced me to miss out on 2 different work opportunities, which amounted to $4,000 in lost income, Your Honor.
Okay. That is quite the allegation there, Ms. Anderson. What do you want to say about it? You dated this man for about a year and a half, he says?
Yes, Your Honor, I did, unfortunately.
Okay.
Well, where do I even start, Your Honor? I fell in love with this man over here about 2 years ago when we met through some common friends. And eventually I saw him as a potential husband. I was also doing everything for him. I was paying for pretty much everything, and I would buy him gifts. I would take him out to dates. I would do anything to show my love and support for him for a year and a half.
And was this reciprocated, Mr. Levy? Were you buying dinners and paying for things as well in the relationship?
Coming up on Equal Justice.
It may have been foolish to mix these 2 entities, but did that not entitle me to some sort of notice, especially when defendant knew
well, you
that...
tell me, Mr. Levy.
Closed captioning provided by...
A mystery.
Jesse loves playing detective.
But the real mystery was her irritated skin. So we switched to Tide Free and Gentle. It cleans better and doesn't leave behind irritating residues.
And it's gentle on her skin.
Tide Free and Gentle Liquid is EPA's Safer Choice certified. It's got to be Tide.
If your whole body deo stains, go alcohol-free and feel hot, not burned.
Don't you wish your girlfriend smelled hot like us? Don't you wish your girlfriend smelled fresh like us? Don't ya?
This is Equal Justice with Judge Ebony.
Yep, your worst nightmare. Your car broke down. Now you're worried if it's going to cost you a fortune in repair bills. Unless you already called CarShield, the legit #1 auto protection company in the country. When you're protected with a plan through CarShield, The process is smooth like ice and done in as little as 3 steps. 1. First, the tow truck takes your car to the shop. The cost of towing, covered when you got a plan through CarShield. Next, you probably need to get around while your vehicle's being repaired, right? 2. Plans through CarShield have rental car options too. Then comes the best part. 3. When you pick up your vehicle, you don't have a big repair bill to worry about. CarShield administrators get your covered repairs paid directly to the shop, so you're back on the road with no worries. Call now to get an affordable plan through CarShield for your vehicle before it's too late. When you call CarShield, whether you got a small problem like a power window motor that could cost a few $100s, or a big problem like an engine or transmission that could cost you thousands of dollars, you're taken care of. CarShield is the #1 auto protection company in the country, and their administrators have paid out more than $1 billion in auto repairs. That's billion with a B. CarShield is the choice that gives you the CarShield guarantee. Your rate never goes up, and your coverage never goes down, no matter how many claims you have. Look, it's inevitable. As your car or truck ages, the parts and components are gonna fail. It's not worth the risk. Call CarShield now.
Waiting until your car breaks down is too late. Call CarShield for coverage on up to 5,000 parts and get the CarShield guarantee, where your rate never goes up and your coverage never goes down, no matter how many claims you have. Call 800-592-5583. 800-592-5583.
Bob's is bringing the wow back. You can wait for a sale price, or you can get wow-worthy prices every day at Bob's. Like this Play-Day sectional for just $7.99, delivered in days. Or this real marble dining set in 2 finishes. And with our everyday low prices plus flexible financing options, your tax refund goes further at Bob's.
And with tons of styles ready to ship and old furniture removal, you can get your furniture fast and easy.
Wow!
Oh, my Bob.
This is Equal Justice. Equal Justice is back with a dispute between Max Levy and Sarah Anderson over a disconnected romance.
Your Honor, admittedly, I was always making less money than Sarah. She made more money than me. I did what I can with whatever I could have provided.
Okay, so let's get to this cell phone issue. Okay, sir, first of all, $4,000 is a lot of money. Do you have some evidence for me to justify this claim?
Yes, Your Honor, I do.
Please give everything to my bailiff here.
Here you are, sir. Your Honor, I'm presenting text messages from my boss. I'm a construction worker. I work for a management company. The way in which they get in touch with me is purely through my cell phone. They only contact me via text message or phone call. And what I'm showing you now are text messages from my boss saying that because I missed his phone call due to the abrupt termination of my cell phone service, I missed out, or I was declined 2 different $2,000 work opportunities.
Okay, so he says this is all your fault, ma'am. What do you say?
I can't find words to express this pain that I was going through. I hope you can understand me.
So he ended things, correct?
Yes.
And let me guess how long it took you from the moment he broke up with you for you to go cancel that cell phone plan.
It was about a few days. Yes. And quite frankly, I did it because why wouldn't I?
Let me get to you. So when you invite the incorporation of a third party by virtue of a girlfriend to the business, you've got to get your business affairs in order, sir, before you pull the gauntlet on the breakup. Because if you had done that, you would have avoided this, correct?
Correct, Your Honor. If I may.
Please, make it quick.
As the court has pointed out, it may have been foolish to mix these 2 entities, but did that not entitle me to some sort of notice, especially when defendant knew that...
Well, you tell me, Mr. Levy, present me with the contract that I know you had drawn up the minute that you wanted to incorporate this woman as a pseudo business partner and make her privy to the expenses, the liabilities, and all the ongoings of your business communication. Give me the contract, sir, and let's read it.
Judge Ebony's verdict when Equal Justice returns. Promotional consideration provided by...
Still dealing with moderate to severe ulcerative colitis or Crohn's disease symptoms despite treatment? Put them in check with Rinvoq. Rinvoq works differently, and it's a once daily pill.
When symptoms try to take control, I got rapid relief with Rinvoq. Check.
Rinvoq helped visibly repair my intestinal lining. Check.
I got lasting steroid-free remission with Rinvoq. Check.
Rapid symptom relief. visible repair of the intestinal lining.
And lasting steroid-free remission. Check, check, and check.
Rinvoq can lower ability to fight infections. Before treatment, test for TB and do blood work. Serious infections, blood clots, some fatal. Cancers including lymphoma and skin. Serious allergic reactions, GI tears, death, heart attack, and stroke occurred. CV event risk increases in age 50 plus with a heart disease risk factor. Tell your doctor if you've had these events, infection, Hep B or C, smoked, are pregnant, or planning. Don't take if allergic or have an infection.
Put UC and Crohn's in check and keep them there with Rinvoq.
Ask your gastroenterologist about Rinvoq and learn how AbbVie can help you save.
This is Equal Justice.
There was no contract.
Oh, there's no contract. Woe is us, right? So this is what we got to do, sir. Next time you find a young lady and you think your feelings are going a certain way, and so much so that you want to now get in bed figuratively as well as literally and joining shared expenses. And the reason that y'all got a joint line was because it was cheaper, right? You guys were both saving money with it.
Yes.
But now it's going to cost you, sir. It's going to cost you $4,000 because unfortunately, sir, you have not gone about handling your business in a way that the court can hold her accountable. Now, if you had a contract that says these are the terms, we're doing a shared plan, renewable around this date. If either one of us wishes to terminate in advance, this is the course of action. And notice was a requirement. That's what you're suggesting, right? That you were due notice of her willingness to terminate. I could uphold that for you. I can help you help yourself. But you're not giving me the documentation I need to do that, sir. You have not presented an enforceable contract in this court. Thus, the court rules in favor of the defendant. The plaintiff's case is dismissed.
All rise.
Judge Ebony has ruled in favor of the defendant. The plaintiff's case is dismissed.
I hope this teaches you how to be a real man.
You know, for what it's worth, I really am sorry for what I did, but it looks like you've shown your true colors today.
Okay, you've had your day in court. Please grab your belongings. Follow me. Ladies first.
This has been a production of Allen Media Group.
Fox Local is how you stream Fox 9 on your TV for free.
Suffering from a debilitating back problem like spinal stenosis, a herniated disc, or degenerative disc disease? Are you considering traditional back surgery with months of rehabilitation?
We developed a revolutionary, minimally invasive procedure with breakthrough medical technology and significant clinical testing. The result is reduced risk, faster recovery, and less pain.
The advanced procedure allows for accurate placement of a specialized device to quickly stabilize the spine and accelerate healing with less trauma and stress to the body.
Most patients, including elderly and overweight patients, walk within 24 hours of surgery and are back to their daily activities in 2 to 4 weeks, much faster than traditional back surgery.
My back is not bothering me.
In a study with 3,000 patients, the procedure reduced the average pain score from 9 to 4.
I can't even begin to tell you how much better I feel.
Get your life back with Inspired Spine. Call today at 612-361-3882.
If you are over 50 and can't work due to physical or mental health problems, you may be entitled to Social Security disability. Call LiveGuard Lloyd and Crystal today. I'm attorney Stephanie Crystal.